Hey everyone, welcome back to Unbiased Magic Reviews, the place you come to for magic reviews that you can trust. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Robert Ramirez Expert Phone Technique. Let's take a look at the trailer.
Welcome to Expert Phone Technique. Here you're gonna learn my signature routine, Alice in Wonderland. It's a trick that I've been working on for over a year. I've been fooling magicians and laymen alike.
Wait, what the?
That gives me 1-7 here, and I'm holding 1-7. If I throw that 7 up, I can catch it back on the phone. If I flick, that 7 disappears, and if I shake, that 7 disappears. The reactions I get with this are incredible. Why? Because I borrow an iPhone from a spectator, and I proceed to do one of the most amazing pieces of magic you will ever see. 1, 2, 3. You'll see that 13 shows. Back up. There's no stooging, there's no pre-show work, there's no apps to download, there's no websites to go to. So if you've been a little hesitant on buying a trick that uses a phone, I promise you, you're gonna love this, because you genuinely borrow a spectator's phone and do this. I don't carry cards on me anymore or coins. When someone says, hey, my friend Robert has a magic trick, I say, can I see your phone? I proceed to just shatter their universe with this trick. Not only will we be getting Alice in Wonderland, but I've also included 3 more phone tricks on Expert Phone Technique. One uses a deck of cards. One, you can just call the person or even do it via text message. It's incredible. I promise you, you're gonna enjoy every single trick, and you will definitely be doing Alice in Wonderland in your strolling gigs, in your close-up gigs, and sometimes even your parlor gigs. That is your phone. Welcome to Expert Phone Technique.
So you may have seen Robert Ramirez on Penn & Teller's Fool Us. He's actually been there a couple of times, and he did perform his signature Alice in Wonderland phone routine on there. So I became familiar with his work through his Penguin Live act that I picked up. And then afterwards, actually, I picked up this. So this is a $40 product. You're gonna get 1 hour of instructional video, and he goes over 4 routines. And all 4 routines are very usable. These are impromptu phone routines where you're basically using your spectator's phone for all of these routines. These routines are not limited to just iPhone, except for the Alice in Wonderland effect, where it can only be done on an iPhone. The other 3 you can do on an Android phone. So before I even get started, I'm just gonna let you guys know that there are 2 different types of cell phone magic out there. If you aren't familiar with that, there's one type which relies on apps. And so these are pretty much self-working, for the most part, phone magic, where it is what you think it is. You're using technology more than anything else. And then the other type is where you're using things that are built into anyone's phone, like you're just exploiting nuances of phones to do magic. And that's where this fits into. There's no apps to download here. Basically, this is magic that you're doing with your spectator's phone. Now, a lot of people always ask me like, oh, what can I add to my act? I'm looking for impromptu magic. What can you recommend? What do you think is good? That's why I'm doing this review for you guys, because I'm recommending this to you because everybody has a cell phone on them, and cell phone is a very personal thing to people. So if you can say, hey, you got your cell phone, take it out. You can show them something amazing with their phone. That is incredible to people. And so that's why I'm doing this review for you guys, because I've found this very useful. Now, before we get started, I'm gonna let you guys know that since I have both of his products, his Penguin Live Act and Expert Phone Technique, I'm gonna tell you guys that you're really not missing anything by not getting his Penguin Live Act. In fact, I will make the argument that Expert Phone Technique is a better investment than his Penguin Live Act. In fact, I didn't really like the other effects on his Penguin Live Act. he goes over a McDonald's ace routine, which is highly gimmicked. It's highly gaffed over the regular McDonald's aces routine. So I didn't really like that. He has a card at any number effect on that Penguin Live Act, which is highly gaffed deck, cannot be examined. Didn't really like that. And then he has an effect where it's like using David Regal's Clarity Box. Again, not something I would use. It's like a effect where a card disappears from the Clarity Box and it ends up inside a Matchbox. Anyway, it's workable and it looks great in his hands, but I wouldn't use it. So I'm recommending to you guys that you don't waste your money on his Penguin Live Act, and instead you just pick up his Expert Phone Technique. So I'm going to go through the routines with you guys to give you an idea of what you're going to expect here. I liked all 4 of these routines. I've used all 4 of these routines. Some of them you're going to use obviously more often than others. Difficulty-wise, I would say that all of the magic on here is like 2 out of 5 in difficulty. It's actually really easy. You may have to rehearse or practice 1 or 2 of these effects a little bit, so that way there's no hesitation and stuff like that, and you can do it. But otherwise, I think it's really easy. It's not very difficult at all, and it really amazes people. You're going to get really good reactions from it. So the first routine is called Multiplying Plus, and that's actually a routine from Daryl Williams. I guess he gave him permission to teach it on here. And in that routine, you have the spectator take out their phone, they open up their calculator, and you have them multiply a bunch of random numbers, whatever numbers they want. It's total free choice. And then at the end, you tell them to look at the total and to concentrate on 1 digit of the total. They tell you the other digits that they're not concentrating on, and then you can tell them the digit that they are concentrating on. The nice thing about the effect is it can be done over the phone, it can be done through text messages, it can be done over Skype. You don't even have to be anywhere near them to do it. So it's a nice little piece that you are going to use, and you're going to use it probably more often than you think because it's very easy to do. If you can add 2 numbers in your head, and very simple numbers, then it's extremely, extremely easy. It's not difficult. You're going to like it a lot. Now, the second effect on the video is his signature Alice in Wonderland. Now, this is the one effect on here that you're going to use more than any other. And this one blows people away. All you have to do is watch his Penn and Teller Fool Us, his one from 6 months ago. You can watch it there and you'll see the reactions it gets. It's strong, very, very strong. It's not hard to perform. Now, what are the differences between his Alice in Wonderland that's taught here versus the Penguin Live Act? The difference is that on the Penguin Live Act, there's 1 extra phase that he didn't teach here, but the difference is you can't even do that extra phase anymore because that extra phase relied on something that was called the divide slide, and you can't do it anymore because Apple has upgraded their operating system where it doesn't support that any longer. So you can't even do that. So it doesn't even matter. So there's literally no difference whether or not you do the routine as it's taught in Expert Phone Technique or on the Penguin Live Act because you can't even do the extra phase anymore. That being said, I still perform it exactly the way it was taught in Expert Phone Technique, and even with iOS 13, it works exactly the same way. I don't have any problems with it at all. This is limited only to iPhone though. You cannot do this with an Android phone. It will get huge reactions. It's definitely worth the whole value of this instructional video. Is this one routine is worth the whole value of this because you're going to basically borrow your spectator's phone and you're going to blow their mind with it right in front of them. And it's really, really shocking to people overall. Now on the Penn and Teller Fool Us, he does do the very last phase on there. He doesn't teach here, where he takes his phone and he has the random 4-digit number that the spectator thought of. He has it jump from the spectator's phone to his phone. And that extra phase, I figured out how to do it because it's actually really easy to figure out. So if any of you are interested in that 1 extra phase, I mean, I'm not going to reveal it here or something, but you know, send me a message. Maybe we can talk about it because I did figure it out. It's actually really easy to do. It's not difficult at all. In any event, the third routine here on the video is called card waiting. Now the third routine is if you've ever done the wizard effect, very famous card effect where you basically have somebody select a card, you call your friend, and your friend over the phone tells them the card they selected. That's the classic wizard effect. Now, if you can think about that, this routine is like the wizard effect on steroids. And the reason is because you start with having them select a card, you call your friend on speakerphone, they tell them what card they're thinking of. Now, to up the ante, you say, okay, let's try it again, but here, I'm gonna give you my friend's phone number. You give them your friend's phone number, they put it into their phone. Now they're calling from their phone. Now the second phase, you have them cut the cards, they select a card, they call your friend on their phone, on speakerphone, your friend tells them what they're thinking of. Okay, that's not enough. Let's do it one more time. So now, third phase, again, now the cards are shuffled by them. They randomly select a card. They call your friend again. Your friend again tells them the card they're thinking of. Mind is blown. Really, a strong, strong effect. Since it's using multiple principles, impossible to backtrack and figure out how it's possible. It really blows people away. This is an excellent effect you want to do for a group of people. You want to destroy everybody's mind at the same time. This is perfect. The only downside is you have to have an accomplice. You have to have somebody who's going to help you, somebody who's ready for that call. But that aside, the effect actually, it's really, really great effect. You're going to be smiling when you see the method. The last effect on this video is called Stopwatch, and this is another effect by the other brothers. And here, Robert Ramirez teaches you two versions. One version, which is the other brothers version, and then a second version, which is an impromptu version that uses the spectator's phone. Both versions are totally workable, and I think that it's a very neat little card trick that uses the stopwatch function of your cell phone or your spectator cell phone, and you can do this on both Android or an iPhone, so it works for both. For me, that was probably the one effect that was my least favorable one, but I have used it and it does get great reactions too. So I think that all of the effects on this video are really good. I think that you will experiment with at least three out of the four of them for sure. And definitely the Alice in Wonderland routine is worth the price of the whole thing. I wouldn't hesitate to give this a 4 out of 5 rating. And I think that the way that technology is advancing, I think that we need to be more open-minded to effects that do use cell phones. Now, for those of you who have watched this far in to my review, I'll also give you guys some other of my own personal recommendations for impromptu, or even just, I'm just gonna say, just cell phone magic that doesn't use apps. So if you're interested in you doing any kind of cell phone magic that doesn't use an app, I would recommend you take a look at the following things. Obviously, the toxic force, which is extremely well known and abused. It's still working today. It's a great type of magic you can use with the calculator of a cell phone. So the toxic force is really good. If you're not familiar with Michael Murray's Code Breaker, I would highly recommend you also check that out, because that's also a really strong effect. That also does use the calculator function on an iPhone. And then finally, I also recommend that you check out Alexander Ward and Mike Phillips' effect called Instinct. Now, Instinct is extremely strong. I've gotten really strong reactions from it, and it doesn't use any kind of apps. Again, this is just another type of cell phone magic that just uses the cell phone. And in that effect, basically a spectator sends you a text message, and then you're able to know what the text message is without even looking at it. Before opening it, you know what it is. It's extremely strong. I've used it a lot, gotten really good reactions with it. And again, it's the type of magic you can do on the fly whenever you want. You're ready to go at any time. You don't have to carry anything extra with you. All you have to do is have your cell phone with you. So those are some other recommendations I make to you guys who do watch my reviews. And as always, if you have any questions about this product, just let me know. I hope that I piqued your interest with this review.